Hey guys, just catching me in the middle of my piano practice. There we go. This is a Yamaha keyboard that a friend of mine gave me a few years back, and finally putting it to good use. Now, every parent wants their child to become something, whether it's an artist or a ballet dancer, so they give them lessons, they hire a teacher to teach them how to be an artist or a piano player or something. Which that's great, but there's one thing that they don't tell you. Learning how to play the piano also takes passion. You know, if you're passionate enough about learning how to play the piano, you can pretty much do anything you set your mind to in the arts. Now, I'm hoping to be able to read music so that I can actually play it in front of people, you know. But, of course, we're not going to be the next Liberace or Beethoven or something. But if we have the right mindset, then we can accomplish anything we set our mind to. The reason why I bring this analogy up is because it relates to something personal. It's a personal subject for different people. Fear. We may say things like, "Oh, I know how to go from a C to a G. All I have to do is just take my thumb and go from middle C to a G." Yeah, that's true. You may know how to go from a C to a G. But how'd you get from C to G in the first place? You had to have started somewhere, right? You needed to know how to move your fingers, right? You needed to find out what a middle C was. You needed to find out what a D and an E were. But of course, everybody has to start somewhere, right? When it comes to being afraid of something, it's understandable that people may be afraid of playing the piano because you're not sure if they can get it right. I know as I used to play guitar back in the day, and I was always afraid of not being able to get my fingers in the right frets. But, of course, this is common little things that people are afraid of. Everybody has a different thing that they're afraid of. Whether they're afraid of spiders or clowns, or they're afraid of getting up on stage because they're afraid of singing the wrong note or playing the wrong key or something. They may be afraid of that for many different reasons. Everybody has a different thing that they're afraid of. But fear is something else entirely. It's not just a simple thing that you're afraid of. It's not something like being afraid of spiders or clowns or having stage fright. It can be something else, something big. Fear can be something like, to describe fear is essentially a thought or a phobia that appears real. It could be something like being afraid to board a plane because you're afraid that it will crash. It could be something like being afraid to cross a bridge because you're scared that it will collapse. Or it could be something like being afraid to cook raw meat because you're scared that the bacteria will crawl up on your arms or something. It could be a whole number of things. But with fear, that thought is locked deep down at the bottom of your mind, and it crawls right up, and it starts to take over until it hits the front of your brain, and it stops you in your tracks. Or at least that's the best way I can describe fear at the moment. When it comes to the C virus outbreak, people are afraid of getting the virus. People are afraid of getting it, even with all the precautions that we have had over the last 2 months. When we were safe in our retreat, as I call it, or sanctuary, or what you call it, quarantine, we were all safe, essentially, because we were trying to flatten the curve, we were trying to protect ourselves. And even if when we did go out, we would wear masks and gloves or both. But for some people, it just isn't enough, and so they're afraid of getting it even with all these procedures. They read the news and they automatically think that it's like the end of the world or something. And so they have this mindset where they're not entirely sure what to think anymore. They don't know who to trust. They don't know who to go to. So it's like every man for themselves. Even after they are doing things like loving the earth and the environment, they're doing constructive things to help them cope. They still have this particular fear that they'll get the virus anyway. What ends up happening is that you have a situation where they are afraid of leaving their own house, also known as agoraphobia. Sometimes people can even be afraid of people entirely. So now they're afraid of getting the virus either from exiting a building with a lot of people, leaving a grocery store, being in a grocery store, being in a place like Walmart or Target or something, or in extreme cases, thinking that they're going to get the virus just after leaving their front door. Whether they get into contact with somebody else walking down the street, or they're afraid of getting it from just being near somebody else, or just even being in the air, being outside. And what makes it hard for them, it makes it hard for them to function. It makes it hard for them to do their everyday activities because the fear locks them in a corner, and they don't know where to go. They don't know where to. It's hard for them. To the outsider looking in, the outsider probably doesn't understand why. If this doesn't just relate to the C virus, this relates to anybody. This relates to any fear or any fear-related situation. To the outsider looking in, they are not sure why person A has this fear. But to person A, that fear is very, very real to them. They can't explain it. They could try and explain it, but without a connection to another person who may have had something similar, it's very hard for them to really connect with anybody and say like, oh, I have this fear, I have this thing that I'm afraid of and I don't know what to do. And so there's that imbalance with everything. Now, a fear-based mindset can be triggered by really anything at any time. It could be triggered by a situation in their lives like the death of a friend, or OCD and fear do have a connection. It does. It just means that it is not a good combination to have. OCD and fear, it's not a good combination because what happens is that both aspects get elevated, and be happy with yourself because you are only concentrating on that fearful mindset that is going on, that fear situation that you are going to get the virus. You are not focused on your life. You are focused on the fear that you have. It is stopping you in your tracks. And it has happened. It can also be triggered by a traumatic event that happened to your life either when you're an adult or when you were a kid. It doesn't have to be with planes or bridges or anything like that. It can be it could even be spiders or clowns. Something happened in that person's life that made them afraid of clowns or spiders or planes or something. Something happened. Because these things don't just appear out of nowhere for no reason. There had to have been an underlining principle. There had to have been an underlining reason as to why that person is having this fear of so-and-so. And yes, I could be paraphrasing it or oversimplifying it, but this video is not really about a long, detailed explanation as to fear and anxiety and things that people are afraid of. This is just a simple explanation about fear and how we can learn from it. How we can learn from being afraid of this virus. How we can learn from our past. I myself am afraid of things even related to this virus. So everybody is afraid of this virus in some form or another. They're afraid of getting it, they're afraid that it's going to consume everybody, you know. And with talks of the country opening back up, it makes it hard for them to really believe that everything will be fine, because they're afraid that if a country opens back up, or at least if that state opens back up, depending on where you live, if that particular state opens back up, then the virus is going to shoot right up again. So they're afraid of the whole outbreak starting all over again when we've been trying so hard to keep it under control. At least keep it down as much as possible. So we have been in this position before. The SARS virus, the measles, we've been through these kind of things before. But people are scared to death of this in more ways than one. Some people are developing OCD, or their OCD is getting worse from this. Some people are developing agoraphobia. Agoraphobia is essentially where you are afraid of leaving your own house because of whether you're afraid that somebody's going to attack you or you're afraid of getting a virus of some kind. And it doesn't just have to be C-19. It could even be the flu, It could be anything. So some people are developing agoraphobia. Some people are developing a fear of people in general. And I'm very sad to say this, but some people have even died believing that the world's going to end. And for some people, this was like the final straw. But they just didn't see any hope anymore. And it's tragic. It's a very tragic situation. I want to come on and say some things because this is a lesson that I am learning myself too. Because I have my own fears about this whole thing. There's been a lot of good change that came from this outbreak. Believe it or not, there has. The ozone layer is much better than it's been in years. The Himalayan mountains are finally visible. The oceans are healing. People are more respectful to themselves and others. They are more appreciative of the people who are on the front lines every day. There are people out there who are putting their lives on the line, and you hear this all the time. You say, thank you for putting yourself forward for us. And so you hear those messages all the time on TV and on sidewalks, and it is such a good feeling to know that there are people out there who are helping others. But with the fear mindset, people look at the numbers. People look at the numbers of cases and deaths. I think it's 100,000 now. And they just panic. And when they panic, they're not thinking rationally. And when they panic, they don't think. And when they're not thinking, they are not able to rationalize what their brain is really telling them. Their conscious is telling them, the world's gonna end, the world's gonna end. That's what they're telling them. That's what their brain is telling them. But their subconscious is telling them, and it'll be okay. Don't worry. So they are panicking when they should be trying to learn how to help themselves. You know, this relates to a situation I saw the other day, and I wish I had a photo of this. My family and I, we went to Walmart to pick up some essential items, and this is what I saw. There was yellow caution tape around the front door, the front entrance. There was a guy, probably somebody who worked there, wearing a mask. There was somebody coming out of a Walmart with a mask on. There was somebody walking in to the Walmart with a mask on. And then there was an announcer saying, like, make sure you have your mask on, or something like that. And I felt scared because I felt like we were in some kind of post-apocalyptic Children of Men scenario. It's like we're living in a health nightmare, you know? And so, like we were in Soylent Green or something. And I'm glad I saw that, because if everything opened back up, and I would have been absolutely confused why everybody was wearing surgical masks. Of course, it's a rule now. It's a rule that if you go out, you have to wear a mask. Here's my lesson to you that I myself am learning as we speak. Do not, or try not, to let your fear paralyze you. Don't let your fear dictate how you will move forward from this. Don't let your fear stop you from achieving whatever goal you put forth for yourself. And it is going to be hard. It is going to be hard to try and leave the comforts of your home and back out into society. It's going to be very hard. And I know this to be true. This is something that I am learning myself. What I'm afraid of is, will the world revert back to its old ways of not caring about the environment that much as Al Gore wanted us to? Just hurting the ozone layer and the mountains and the oceans and stuff. Are we not going to be nice to one another like before? Or are we going to take what we've learned in the home and apply it out there? Doing our part to help the world is something that we need to do together. And so what we have to do, we have to remember that this is just another hurdle that we need to get over. And this is just another situation that we need to remember that things will be okay. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard not listening to that fear that is stopping you. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be difficult for me. It's going to be difficult for anybody, not just the people watching this video, not just the person making it right now, me, but it's going to be hard for anybody to think we're going to be okay. This is just temporary. We're not going to get the virus because we're doing all the necessary steps. We are doing all the necessary steps of protection with the mask and the gloves, or both. We are keeping our distance from people. We're doing our part. I saw a birthday party recently. Walking my dog, I saw a birthday party going on, and everybody was happy and smiling. They were wearing masks, but they weren't letting this stop them. Some people were even just walking through the neighborhood, just enjoying the sunshiny day. Of course, it's not shiny right now, but they were trying not to let this stop them. I think this virus is teaching us more about ourselves than we originally realized. Anyway, I hope I helped you guys, as well as myself. For some of us, it's going to be a long road. For some of us, it's going to be an easy one. And for others, they probably didn't have fear in the first place. But every one of us is different. Yet, in some ways, we're all united in some form or another. Stay safe, everybody. Help yourselves heal. I'll do the same. Till next time, guys. I will see you all later.